Hello, hello, hello. Okay, I think we're ready. Hello, welcome to the first episode of Our Safe Space. And today I have a guest with me who is a psychotherapist and a licensed social worker that goes by the name Auntie Joyce. Hi, Auntie Joyce.
Hello, Bea. Very nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be part of your podcast. It's
I'm
very
so
exciting.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you here, especially for the first episode, because I think that sets the tone for
Mhm.
the rest of the podcast. And as I will do for the rest of the guests, I start with the question, or two questions actually. The first one being, how are you really, Auntie Joyce?
Right now, I'm doing pretty well. I'm very happy to be here with you and very excited um, to share maybe a little bit of what I know to help people, find their safe space because that is pretty important.
Yeah.
But how am I really? I'm good.
That's good to
I'm
know.
good. Yeah.
That's good to know. And second question is, what do you consider as a safe space for you?
Personally, a safe space for me, um, there's quite a few depending on where I'm at. So, physical space is very important for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, being in a particular church, in because I live also in New York City, my parish is a very important safe space for me that has served me very well. Um, Going to Central Park
Oh,
is
that
very
must be
safe
so
for me.
nice.
Yeah, a particular bench around the reservoir. Being in my home um, is very safe for me. So those are the physical spaces that work um, for me sometimes. Being around my family, being around my friends, and being around my clients can be a very
Mm.
safe space for me as well.
Oh,
Because what we do in therapy is I try to create safe spaces
for others as
for my
well.
clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can show up however they want. Yeah, and so that helps me feel safe as well if my clients feel safe with me.
Talking about being a professional therapist, psychotherapist, how or what do you define as a s- safe space
Yeah,
in your practice?
yeah. So professionally, if we were gonna talk about having a definition for safe space,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it would be, either a physical space or a state. Yeah, a mental state, an emotion, or could be an emotional state where somebody feels very comfortable. They do not feel judged. They feel like they can be themselves, however that might be. Do you want to cry? Do you want to be happy? You want to express your joy? You want to just sit back and not do anything and stare at the ceiling and be okay with that? Um, just to be able to feel that you can be yourself. That would be,
Yeah.
I would think, a safe space if people were gonna, try to identify what safe spaces are, is to go into their feelings and their bodies because being safe is about feeling safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to maybe to go with that, and kind of like have a think about, well, if I'm sitting here, how is it making me feel?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm with this person, how does that make me feel?
Yeah. And I guess
Right.
when, with what we're talking about safe spaces, it differs for every person.
Absolutely.
As I said in the last episode, that a safe space for someone, as you said,
Mm-hmm.
also can be people or a specific
Mm-hmm.
person
Yes.
or
Mm-hmm.
a particular place
Yes.
or a certain thing
Yeah.
or an experience.
Exactly.
Um, but also, safe spaces differ, differ when
Mm-hmm.
things change
Mm-hmm.
and when you
Mm-hmm.
grow.
And also, people come into their safe spaces. You know, one of the factors could also be their history.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what was safe for them as children? Yeah, what wasn't safe for them, and how, as they grow, how do they create safe spaces because they know what's not safe?
Mm.
Yeah. So a lot of it is getting to know who you are. And in therapy, this is what we try to help clients with, is getting to know who they are, what makes them feel safe, and helping clients create those kinds of spaces, go into those kinds of spaces,
Mm-hmm.
helping them be able to sit in those kinds of spaces. And it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It could be a lot of fun to be able to identify a place, a person, an event, an experience, really anything that can just make you feel like I can be who I am and not worry about it and
Yeah.
feel accepted and feel loved.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that is something I have been discovering lately,
Mm-hmm.
because a very interesting thing is I actually have been here in San Francisco for maybe four,
Mm-hmm.
5 years because of college, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm finishing that up as we speak. Um, but for the most of it, I did not like this city.
Mm-hmm.
I will be very honest. I wasn't happy
Yeah.
here,
Mm.
but I tried to change my perspective and think,
Yes.
okay, how can I change something
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
used to be just consisted of negative,
Mm-hmm.
like I associated with negative things, and
Yes.
how do I change that into a more positive
Mm-hmm.
thing
Mm-hmm.
for me,
Mm-hmm.
and how can I make this city a safe space,
Yes.
changing my perspective and
Yes.
growing, because I also go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
That has also definitely helped a lot in my
Yes.
growth
Yes.
and
Yeah.
helping me identify myself w- as things are changing, as
Mm-hmm.
I'm growing, as life
Yes.
goes.
Yes.
And it's helped me so much that I have found
Mm-hmm.
a safe space in, when I do go to therapy, because I'm just able to be
Mm-hmm.
completely, as a safe space does,
Mm.
completely myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can be
Yes.
completely vulnerable. I am very comfortable and honest with myself, because
Yes.
I think that's a really important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Philippines,
Mm.
what I'm really happy about is that
Mm.
now the conversation of mental health
Mm.
and seeking help and seeking, going to therapy
Mm-hmm.
is becoming more accepted.
Mm.
And would you say that's somewhat
Um,
correct?
because I practice globally. I have
Mm-hmm.
clients not just from Manila, but other parts of Asia and also in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what I've seen is that especially for young adults, which is most of the types of clients I work with, you know, young adults in their 20s, 30s. I also have much older adults. But sometimes therapy, at least in the beginning, when they come, it becomes the only safe space they have for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they come to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they're trying to find, like you said, a space where they can be vulnerable and not be judged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because until you find that, and you're able to process that and know that you're not alone
Yes.
going through this process, just, it's the big showing up for yourself in that manner, and being supported is really the first step to healing. Just showing up and feeling safe.
Yeah.
And knowing that whatever comes out, it's going to be okay. You know,
Yeah.
not that things will necessarily be fixed,
Yeah.
okay, because people like speed, right? But therapy is not popping a pill. It is, like you said, a process.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And
it's a process.
there's a certain you got to be patient with
Mm-hmm,
your growth,
mm-hmm,
especially in therapy,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
you have to be what I
mm-hmm,
learned is the
mm-hmm,
things that you learn in therapy you really do have to, if
mm-hmm,
you want it to
mm-hmm.
work,
Yes,
apply.
yes,
And
yes.
there may be some recommendations that your therapist
Mm-hmm,
gives that don't work, some that do work,
mm-hmm,
and that's
mm-hmm.
totally okay because it's different for everyone.
Yes, yeah. And
Yeah.
the relationship with the therapist is really important,
Yeah.
because even if a particular type of therapy might work for one person, like let's say, I know a lot in the Philippines. I've heard quite a few clients say, "Oh, I have experience with CBT. I've done that before," or
What's
people.
what's
CBT
CBT
is
again?
cognitive behavior
Oh, okay, yeah,
therapy.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
people, because of the internet, people get a lot of information
Yeah.
about
Mhm.
certain types of therapies, but when you actually apply it within the therapeutic setting, it might not work. It might work for one person, but not for the next client.
Yeah.
And so being able, it's very personalized process.
Yeah.
It's a very personalized process, because you know what? Everybody's life is different,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
cannot, we don't like to put people in boxes.
No, we do
Yeah,
not.
we really do not want to do
Yeah.
that. And I hope that in the Philippines, that people start, hopefully, to become more open. I know I love my clients
Mhm.
from the Philippines,
Mhm.
because there's so much curiosity and so much desire
Mhm.
to be, especially the young people, so much desire to understand themselves, and want to be better versions of themselves. And it's an
Yeah.
exciting process.
And I think that's what you just said about being better is
Mm-hmm.
what therapy is
Mm-hmm.
all about. Going to For me, you shouldn't be ashamed about going to therapy.
Mm.
I guess there was this image that I had before that,
Mm.
if I went to therapy, then there must be something wrong with me.
Mm. Mm.
But
Mm.
there's not. I'm going to therapy because I want to be a better
Mm-hmm.
version of myself. I just want to be better.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
And
Yes.
therapy has helped me grow
Mm-hmm.
into a much better version of myself compared to,
Mm.
this time last year.
Right.
And
Mm.
it
Mm.
has helped me so much in growing when everything around me is
Mm-hmm. Yes.
changing at the fastest way
Yes.
possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I have really found a safe space
Mm. Mm.
when it, comes to therapy because yeah, as I said, I've seen that kind of change within me whenever I approach
Mm-hmm.
different
Mm-hmm.
situations
Yeah.
compared to before I went to therapy. And actually during, there's a bit of like
Mm.
hesitation when applying these stuff
Mm-hmm.
to your life, but when you apply it, at some point it becomes second nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whatever I've learned,
Mm.
so that's when I know that, oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
working pala.
Yeah.
It's working.
Yeah.
And you
Mm.
shouldn't be afraid of going to therapy.
Yeah.
It just helps you
Yeah.
become a better person. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy. That I will say. I am
Mm.
proud that I am
Mm-hmm.
going.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something
Mm-hmm.
I'm ashamed of.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong.
Mm.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong
Mm.
with it.
And maybe
Yeah.
another way of another perspective on therapy
Yeah.
is to think about it as, like, how for our physical bodies we go to the gym,
Yeah.
right? Because we want to be better. We want to lose weight. We want to be
Yeah.
healthy physically. You show up for yourself because you want to look good,
Mm-hmm.
right? And therapy is kind of like that for your
For
for mental health and emotional health,
yeah.
right? That maybe people are feeling stuck, and feeling stuck is sometimes a really, really hard feeling, and it's a process of helping clients feel unstuck so they can move forward.
Yeah.
And I must say, I have clients, that I've been working with and they've gotten better. So they don't come to therapy as often. But you know what? Every once in a while, I'll hear back from them and they'll say, I need a session today
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just kind of not feeling okay because this is what's going on, or I really would like to understand what's going on. And we'll have what we call booster sessions, just a one off,
Mm.
right? With the idea that whatever is going on, don't let it get worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nip it in the bud if we can.
Mm-hmm.
Let's figure it out together.
It's kind of like
Hmm.
what do you call it? Like peeling an onion.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
peel an onion, but sometimes there's still stuff, right? And my goal as a therapist personally is, I like to say to my clients, my goal is not to keep you in therapy, but to help you become your own therapist.
Oh.
Okay? So hopefully we'll figure out customized tools for you,
Yeah.
for your personality, for your background, for just the way who you are,
Or like what
um,
how you prefer to approach.
how you prefer to approach. Some people like, when they communicate with other people, they prefer texting or they prefer communicating.
Mm-hmm.
We talk a lot about, in therapy, how to help people communicate effectively,
Mm-hmm.
how to be able to show up for themselves with other people
Mm-hmm.
and be effective about it so they can feel heard.
Yeah.
And it's about people like to be heard, people like to be seen. And when people come to therapy, they get to a point where when they say, nobody gets me,
Mm-hmm.
nobody understands, you know, I don't feel like they don't see me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a room and I don't feel like anybody can see me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty hard place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when I started out,
Mm.
there was in my first session, I remember just blurting all of my worries out. And then my therapist was like, breathe. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that myself
Yeah.
until my therapist said it. And then I was like,
Mm.
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that is a lot. And sometimes people don't give themselves enough credit.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
for the amount of stuff that they are, or the baggage, I guess, that they are carrying.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what I realized in my first session alone. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Mm.
That actually is a lot now that I am,
Mhm.
verbalizing it to
Yes. Yeah.
my therapist. It was a
Yeah.
lot, and it surprised me. I was like, I can't believe I just
Hmm.
realized this now, that it's
Mm.
actually a lot for me
Mm-hmm.
to go through at that time when I started
Yes.
on my own.
On your own. Yes.
But, you know, but I was also proud that I did it for myself, like going to therapy, because, as
Hmm.
I said earlier, I wanted to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And this was my way of helping myself.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
I don't think there's
Hmm.
a better way to put it than therapy is you helping yourself. It's
Yes. Yeah.
helping yourself to be better.
Yes.
There's
There
I
you
don't, I
go.
don't think there's any better way of putting it. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
emphasize that there's nothing you should be ashamed of when you
Yeah.
go to therapy, and
Hmm.
it's such a beautiful safe space to create for yourself, because you find other ways or other safe spaces within as you're going to therapy
Mm-hmm.
also.
Yeah. 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 The
um
process.
it's like a
Yeah.
toolbox of safe spaces. You have different ones, and then you see which ones work for you, which ones don't.
Yes. Yeah.
um
Hmm.
for me, I like
Hmm.
writing.
Writing.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like good at it, but just putting my
Uh-huh.
thoughts onto a notebook is what I
Yes.
do. And
Yes.
that's also another safe space that I have found
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
through therapy.
Yes. Yeah.
Um
This
but
self
yeah.
discovery. This
Yeah,
process
it
of self
is.
discovery. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, it has helped in really discovering who I
Hmm.
am.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the type of person that I can become.
That you can be.
You know, when I'm upset, before I'm like, galit ako, or like, I'm so mad, whatever. But now it's like, okay, what is making me upset,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
how can I,
Mm-hmm.
what in my power
Mm-hmm.
can I do to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
change it, or
Mm-hmm.
how can we work through
Yeah.
this
Yeah. But basically,
feeling?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's more. I like what you said. How can I work through this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, not necessarily to fix.
Yeah.
Okay. Not necessarily to fix or to say I don't want this, but how do I work through this?
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
how can I, like,
Mm-hmm.
let's
You know,
just
it's a gentler
let's work.
way
Yeah. Let's
of
work
dealing with
through
our
it.
emotions.
Yeah, because it
It's
doesn't
working
have to
through.
be like you said. It's not like popping a pill.
Yes, it's not
Exactly.
popping a
Yeah,
pill.
it's not popping a pill. It
Yeah,
takes time.
it takes time.
It takes time, and it also takes time to understand. It may take
Mm-hmm.
time to understand
Yes,
yourself.
yeah. Patience is very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Patience with the process.
Yeah.
Patience and to know that you're not alone. People
Yeah.
are sometimes, being with someone you I guess trust, right? In therapy,
Yeah.
that's very important in the therapeutic relationship
Yeah.
is that trust.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that, with when you just said trust, it made me think about how the process of also finding a therapist that you connect with,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yes.
some people, they may just
Mm-hmm.
click right away,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But for others, it may take time
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
find a therapist that
Exactly.
really works for them.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
don't I hope that, it isn't the process of
Mm-hmm.
finding
Yeah.
the therapist that
Yes.
works for you doesn't stop people from
Yes. From
from
just to keep looking
yeah.
until you find a relationship that clicks,
Yeah,
right?
because
Yeah.
it's important that you really do connect
Mm-hmm.
with
Yes.
your therapist in the best way possible for you.
Mm-hmm. That feels safe for you,
Yeah, because you
right?
have to feel safe in order to
Exactly. To be
work.
vulnerable.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
be vulnerable and work
Yes.
on yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people bear themselves, right?
Yes.
It's showing,
Yes.
things that sometimes they don't even know because they're trying to hide or they don't want to look at it. It's too painful.
Yeah.
So that trust is really important.
Yeah.
You know,
That trust is really
very important.
important.
But to keep looking and not to
Yeah.
feel discouraged. Not to feel discouraged if for the first time you don't find somebody. Just keep
It's
going.
okay. Keep going.
Keep going.
You will find your
Yeah, right.
therapist,
Yeah.
and it's going to feel so safe, where it's like, oh,
Mm.
it's so
Mm.
nice.
Yeah.
The goal is to become an even better version
Yes. Yeah.
of yourself that
Yeah.
can stand
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
on
Solid ground.
solid
Who you are.
ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
I think that's also very important.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
Yeah.
and being able to just
Yeah. Mm.
be able to stand on your own to the point
Yeah.
where you
Mm-hmm.
don't, like, when things go your way, you have the right tools
Yes. Yeah.
to
And
be
a
able.
metaphor I like to share with my clients is about like bee bamboo.
Mm-hmm.
If we think about a bamboo plant, right? The bamboos are tall. They're tall. They're skinny. They look flimsy. They sway. But if you actually touch a bamboo, it is so sturdy,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like people use it like in Hong Kong. Use it for scaffolding,
Mm-hmm.
right? To hold up buildings when they're doing construction and
Yeah.
renovation.
Yeah, like in Manila
In Manila
also.
as well, right?
Yeah.
It is so sturdy. It's heavy. It's sturdy, and it is so solid that okay, it's solid, right? But when the wind blows,
It sways.
it sways with it, but it always comes back to center.
Mm-hmm.
It can sway all the way to the right, all the way to the left, and you think it's gonna break,
It won't.
but it doesn't because
Mm-hmm.
it always comes back to center. And I like to think that therapy, the process of therapy, is kind of like that, is helping clients build that foundation.
Mm-hmm. So that the wind,
Yes.
as like
It will,
problems. When
yeah,
they
will
come,
blow.
you can
Yeah,
sway, but you will
exactly.
always be able to
But you'll
come
come back
to
to center,
center.
right? And
Yeah.
especially for young people, a lot of things are gonna get thrown at you.
Yeah.
Okay, you're just getting started. You're still in school. Sometimes some of the clients I see are still in university, and then they have to find a job and they start working, and then there's different relationships that come their way. Boyfriends, girlfriends, colleagues, families. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
things are gonna come your way, right?
But
But to
yeah.
learn how to sway with it, but come back to center, not
Mm-hmm.
break.
Yeah. I think
Okay,
that's a very,
you know.
very important, you know.
Yeah. It's just a metaphor, something, I help clients visualize
Mm-hmm.
that you can go wherever the wind blows,
Yeah.
but because you're standing so strong, you know who you are, you know where you're coming from, you just come back to center.
Yeah. And aside from therapy, also being able to help you come back to center, it helps you see
Mm-hmm.
yourself from every angle.
From every angle, yes. You're
Um,
able to consider different
yes,
perspectives.
because
Yes.
you're able to see not only the good
Mm-hmm.
things about
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yourself, but also
Mm-hmm.
things that aren't so good.
Yeah.
And then you can work on
Mm-hmm.
it, which is
Yeah.
so great because it's like, okay, I'll bring something to therapy where it's like, okay, I'm not happy about, or I feel like I should work on this particular
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
thing
Yeah.
because I don't like my approach
Yes.
or the way
Yeah.
I'm approaching it at the moment.
Mm.
How
Mm.
am I able to better
Yes.
an
Yes.
approach?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And identifying to what we like to call growth areas.
Mhm.
Areas where you can be better, where you
Mhm.
want to tweak it a little bit,
Mhm.
find out what would work better for me.
Yeah.
Because I think, or everybody's telling me to do this, but somehow I don't feel right about it,
Mhm.
right? So what would work for me?
Yeah.
And the process of therapy can help people do that,
Yeah. It's
is
kind
to
of
figure
like
things out.
a 360 mirror.
There you go.
Yeah.
360 review, if
Yeah.
you want to
It's
call it
like a
that. Yeah.
360 mirror where you're seeing not only
Mm-hmm. The
one
front.
angle,
Yes. Yes.
it's here, it's like on the left, on the right,
In the back.
and then the
Yeah,
back,
especially the back. Yeah.
everywhere.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's just being able to
Yeah.
see all of you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not just the good, but the bad also, and how to, as a whole, just
Yeah.
become
Yeah.
better and
Yeah.
stay in the center.
Stay centered.
Yeah. Well,
Wonderful.
yeah, that's been a great conversation to have with you,
Yeah.
Auntie Joyce.
Yeah. But I'm really happy that your therapy experience sounds like it's working out for you.
Yeah, it is. It's helped me find a safe, therapy has been a safe space, but I have found a safe space within myself,
Within yourself. Yes. It's very
which
important.
which feels so nice, and I've found such a safe space within me that I'm not ashamed to
Mm.
share
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
experience
Your
with
experience. Yeah. Yeah.
other people. So, yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the first episode of Our Safe Space. I hope that it's given you insight into what therapy is like as a safe space for individuals. And I hope that people who aren't so sure if they should go into therapy and those who have maybe been thinking about it for a while have learned something during our conversation with Auntie Joyce today. And as we discussed earlier, therapy isn't just like popping a pill. It takes time and it's a process. Therapy and improving yourself through what you learn during your sessions is a skill that you develop and nourish as you go. And if you did enjoy this episode, feel free to give our safe space a follow on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're at it as well. All comments, feedback, questions, suggestions for topics you would like me to cover in future episodes are welcome. And you can comment on this video if you are on YouTube or follow our Instagram account, which is at oursafespace.ph, and message me on there. Also, if you have any questions in relation to what we discussed in this particular episode, send them my way. who knows? Maybe we'll have Auntie Joyce back for another episode so we can talk about more things. But until then, thank you so much for being my first guest, Auntie Joyce. Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
for everything you're
you.
doing.
Thank you. And thank you to you who's listening to this podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to this episode of our safe space with psychotherapist Auntie Joyce. So I hope this gets you excited for the next episodes that we have. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.